S.B.1.16.8 Swami Prabhupada Shri Prabhupada ki, Shri Gaurnitai ki, Shri Jagannath Baladev Shapada ki, Shri Londonisvara ki, Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Kulananda ki, Grantaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaura Premanandi, all glories to the Sampadavutis, all glories to Shri Guru and Grand, all glories to Shri Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurvani Vichari Navasesha Sanivadi Pastachari Sikari Hare Krishna. I welcome everybody this morning, especially some of you have come from a long distance. Hare Krishna. Haribol Jai. All the way from the manor. You're going for Sankirtan today? Partners in crime. The right type of crime. Returning everything back to Krishna where it belongs. We're reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 1, chapter 16, and if I'm not mistaken, it's text 8, is that correct? Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Entitled, How Parikshit Received the Age of Kali. Na kaschit mriyate tavat yavat aste iha antakaha etat artam hi bhagavan ahutaha paramavrishabhihi aho Riloke Piyeta Harilila Amritam Vachaha Nakashtin Miyate Tavad Yavadasta Ihantakaha Etadatam Hi Bhagavan Ahuta Paramarshibhi Aho Niloke Pita Harilamritam Vachaha Nakastin Miyate Tavad Yavadasta Ihantakaha Etadatam Hi Bhagavan Ahuta Paramarshibhi Aho Niloke Pita Harilamritam Vachaha Nakastin Miyate Tavad Yavadasta Ihantakaha Etadatam Hi Bhagavan Ahuta Paramarshibhi Aho Niloke Pita Harilamritam Vachaha
Nakastin mriyate tavat Yavat asta ihantakaha Etadatam hi Bhagavan Ahuta Paramarshibhi Aho Niloke Piyeta Harilamritam Vacha
Nakashin Mriyate Tavad Yavadashta Ihantakaha Etadartam hi Bhagavan Ahutaha Paramarshibhi Aho Nirluki Payeta Harilamritam Vachaha
Nakastin mriyate tavat Yavatasta Ihantakaha Etadatam hi Bhagavan Ahuta Paramarshibhi Aho Niloke Pite Harilamritam Vachaha
Ladies,
Nakastin mriyate tavat Yavadasta Ihantakaha Etadatam hi Bhagavan Ahuta Paramarshibhi Aho Niloke Piyeta Harilamritam Vachaha Nakastin Mriyate Tavat Yavadasta Ihantakaha Etadatam hi Bhagavan Ahuta Paramarshibhi Aho Niloke Piyeta Harilamritam Vachaha. No, not. Kaschin
Kashchit, anyone, Mriyate, will die, Tavat, so long, Yavat, as long as, Aste, is present, Iha, herein, Antakaha, one who causes the end of life, Etat, this, Artam, reason, he, certainly, Bhagavan, the representative of the Lord, Ahutaha, invited, Parama Rishivihi, by the great sages, Aho, alas, relocate in human society, Piyeta, let them drink, Harilila, transcendental pastimes of the Lord, Amritam, nectar for eternal life, Vachaha, narration, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. As long as Yamaraj, who causes everyone's death, is present here, no one shall meet with death. The great sages have invited the controller of death, Yamaraj, who is the representative of the Lord. Living beings who are under his grip should take advantage by hearing the deathless nectar in the form of this narration of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Here's a short purport, a very significant verse and significant purport. Every human being dislikes meeting death. You could say not just humans, pretty much every living being. Sometimes you're suffering so much you, at least in the mind, you welcome, I wished I would die. Sometimes that thought comes to people. They don't really know what it entails. They're suffering so much. But in general, nobody likes death. In general. And neither does an animal, a bird, an insect, even a tree. No living entity welcomes death. No. But he does not know, though we don't like it. You know, if you don't like something, you try to get rid of it, isn't it? Is that right? If you don't like someone, so you try to get rid of them. Where's our temple president? He hasn't got rid of me yet. But he does not know how to get rid of death. The surest remedy for avoiding death is to, what's the surest remedy? It's on the board, isn't it?
Yes.
Not many secrets around here. The surest remedy for avoiding death is to accustom oneself to hearing the nectarian pastimes of the Lord as they are systematically narrated in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the medicine. Bhavoshti Chotamano Virat, the medicine to cure our disease, Bhavarog. Bhavarog is this perpetual birth and death, struggling in this world. We look elsewhere for remedies. Prahlad Maharaj says that they come up with so many remedies nowadays. Remedies they have come up with recently to try to stop death. Have they given up the idea, or are they still trying? They're still trying. And they'll try for till they die, and then someone else will be trying till he dies. They all die before they achieve their objective. There is no solution, and even the remedy to try to cure the problem is often worse than the problem itself. So in that sense, there's nothing. Another doctor trying to, and parents and scientists, nobody can save us from death. It's like a stone boat to a life is destined to sink. The only medicine is this Utama Shloka Janananda that was mentioned here, Hari Lamritam Vajaha, topics of Hari Lila, pastimes of Krishna there, Amrita. What does Amrita mean? Pardon? I heard many things. Nectar. Someone says nectar, someone else said something else. Deathless. Yes. Immortal. And me, Amrita, death, Amrita, no death. No death. So it's also nectar, Amrita Chana, Amrita, nectar. So this is more than just avoiding death. What Amrita specifically here means deathless nectar. Both. It says that. It says both, hearing the deathless nectar. So, Hari Lila. Hari Lila, pastimes, Krishna Lila. Hari Katha, Krishna Katha. This is the medicine. There is no other medicine. Some of the medicines may be there, but they don't achieve the ultimate perfection of freeing one from being subjected to death, accompanied by fear. Fearless is the fearless way, taking shelter of the holy name in the first chapter, you see, which is feared by fear personified. Just like here, Yamaraj is very fearful. If you know, people who know, Lord of death, fearful. He's personally present, they've invited him to attend. He's personally sitting here. What have you got to fear? He's here. Yamaraj is here, there's no need to fear. Prabhupada, an example, but a similar reason in a sense. When he installed Krishnavara, what year are we in? 75. Next year will be the 50th anniversary of the installation of Krishnavara in Sri Vrindavan. And Prabhupada made it quite clear that all we needed was kirtan. But generally speaking, around you, you're surrounded by Brahmins and smarter Brahmins, and classical Swamis in Vrindavan and so on. They would not accept it. They were already having a lot of doubts about these Western American, whatever, so-called Vaishnavas. And now they're going to install deities, and what can they do? They don't know anything. Well, Prabhupada very expertly invited them, the classical Swamis and the local Brahmins and what have you, smarter Brahmins, whatever they are, to come and do the yajna, the installation ceremony. So they did, they accepted his offer, and that way they could not criticize the temple, the worship, because they were the ones who installed the deities and established it. They would be criticizing themselves. Not the same thing, but a similar thing, that we're kind of protected and nothing to fear. Prabhupada describes Yamaraj like the commissioner of police. If the commissioner of police is, with you, you don't really have to worry about much, really. You're kind of pretty protected. He's got a whole police force under his direction. So there's no fear of death. But Yamaraj is not an ordinary personality, as you know. He's not just the Lord of Death. He's tired. Tired? Okay. Pardon? You're fine. No, I was looking elsewhere, actually. And anyway, so they've invited Yamaraj, king of death. But he's also a great Mahajan. There are 12 specific Mahajans cited there. There could be many more. They're limited. 12 particular ones. And amongst those is Yamaraj. Great personality who knows the principles of religion, teaches those principles. Prabhupada finishes the purport. It is advised herein, therefore, that any human being who desires freedom from death should take to this course of life, as recommended by the rishis, headed by Shonaka. So this is Shonaka Rishi, and the Rishi speaking here. To Sutta Goswami, they want him to speak more of this Amrita, this Hari Lila Amrita, this deathless nectar. And we heard the other day how we should, the devotees of the Lord, they lick up this nectar. So they really want to hear it. The whole Bhagavatam has developed, you could say, from this intense inquisitiveness. It's not just inquisitive, it's with eagerness to hear also the subject matter of Krishna's pastimes. And many other subjects they discuss or request Sutta Goswami to reveal to them. You go to the first chapter of Sutta Goswami, then begins to respond to these questions of the sages, these requests, inquisitive requests. So we're going to go now to, Srila Prabhupada gave a lecture on this verse, even on my computer. I'm not going to read so much from that lecture, but he did give a lecture on this verse in Los Angeles in 1975, and here, January the 5th. Oh, wait a minute. What verse? Oh, 1974. I've got two quotes from this verse, I think. Is it just one? No. Just one. Okay, I'm not going to read that now. I'm going to leave that to last. It's a very exciting quote. One of the most famous quotes, at least in our preaching mission. And that quote was in the lecture Prabhupada gave on this verse. I'm going to leave that to the end. Suspense. But we are going to read from Srila Prabhupada of a lecture which he gave on another very important verse, which we quoted the other day. Ayo Harki Vaipam Sam, famous verse in the second canto. And if you want, you can look up the translation, you can read it. I'll just read some of the Prabhupada's lecture. And Prabhupada says, so if we discuss about Krishna Katha, the words of Krishna, there are two books, or words of Krishna. Particularly Prabhupada emphasizes here, this is 1972, so Chaitanya Charitamrita had not been published at that time. There are two books, words of Krishna. One, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is directly speaking, and Srimad Bhagavatam, which is directly speaking about Krishna. Both of them are Krishna Katha. So therefore, here it is said that Uttama Shloka Vartaya. Varta means message, words. So if we pass our time simply by reading and talking about Krishna, then the sun will not be able to take away our life. This is this Amrita, deathless Haridila. This is the secret. If you want to become immortal, then you always be engaged in Krishna Katha. Always 24 hours. Always think of Krishna. This is Krishna consciousness. Can we conceive 24 hours a day of always thinking of Krishna or chanting Krishna's names? Even during our conscious day, it's hardly. If we really look at how much time are we spending in the day chanting the holy name of Krishna, we're doing service, we hope. So we heard the other day, we saw how Gopal Krishna in his sleep was offering arti in his sleep. You know? Let me show the video. Actually, he was asleep and he was actually doing arti with his moving his arms, doing arti during his sleep. He did that every day practically in his life. Mangal arti. He just passed away last week, 2 weeks ago. We've lost 3 senior Prabhupada disciples in France in the last month. Death is as sure as death. We can't avoid it. It's going to come. We're either going to be deathless or we're going to be dead. So better to take the path of deathlessness. What does it mean, deathlessness? People say, well, you'll always die as well, don't they? Let's see what Prabhupada says. Always 24 hours. This is Krishna consciousness. So everyone is dying. So those who are engaged in Krishna Katha and Krishna consciousness, those who are busy in Krishna's business, they are not dying. But people say, you are dying. You're also dying. They said 3 devotees, Prabhupada disciples, left their body in the last month in France. And Gopal Krishna left his body a few weeks ago. A day or 2 ago, Rajashekar Prabhu left his body. You don't know, he's English devotee. You know Rajashekar? You know Rajashekar? He's English devotee. I don't know if he's originally from there, but we met him in Wolverhampton. We used to do we used to book distribution in 72. We were in Wolverhampton. We stayed in hippie houses. So he and Moksha Lakshmi and Krodaha, who was kind of partnered with Moksha at that time. I think they were brothers, Raja and Kroda. And we used to stay in their apartment and do prasadam, cook prasadam, do kirtan. They all joined a year later. From there, but he passed away a day or 2, Rajashekar, in very auspicious circumstances too. Mayapur Dham. Janananda Swami was there. Vida Prabhu was there. He had some pain in his heart and breathing problems. He went to their little hospital in Mayapur. Nothing very sophisticated. And they were talking, different Krishna conscious topics. And he was even smiling and laughing, and then all of a sudden he went unconscious and was gone. Oh, right there. Not a bad way to go. You can't avoid it. This body is going to give up. It's going to collapse sooner or later. We don't know when, where, how. For sure it will. Point will come to to all of us. And people say, well, everyone's dying. But Prabhupada says, those who are engaged in Krishna Katha, those who are busy in Krishna's business, they are not dying. So what does that mean? What does that mean? You're not dying. You look like you are. You're getting old. Is that? What do you mean they're not dying? Not a difficult question for a devotee, really, is it? Yes, sir.
Our bodies can be dwindling, but our soul will go on to the higher path.
Yeah, we're going on a higher path, even though the body is going on a lower path, it seems. The devotee is not going with the body, using it. Any other comments on that?
The devotee doesn't identify with the body, so
Identify,
he's under shelter of the spiritual energy.
yeah, the shelter of spiritual energy. Anything else?
Devotee burns all their karma.
Pardon?
Burn their karma.
Akarma. Yeah, you can extend that a little further. The devotee's life is akarma. No karma. In this due, karma means that activity which evolves or develops a future material body. That's the practical definition of karma. Activity which results in a future material body. So the devotee is akarma, supposed to be. No karma. Burnt up in devotional service. So there's no future body, material body, spiritual body. Of course, we may not come to that level, but that's the nature of somebody actually engaged in karma. We see in the Bhagavad Gita also, what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita about not taking a material body again? Famous verse. Prabhupada said one time, I think it was Subhad Maharaj told me, that Prabhupada actually said, that's the key verse. Janma Karma Janeti. He was in his room alone with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada used to sit with Subhad Maharaj. I don't know if you know Subhad Maharaj, she was from the same school that Prabhupada went to in Calcutta. He was like Prabhupada's son. He treated him just like his son. He was, but he treated him literally like his son. This is a key verse. Janma karma chimedim evam yogi tattva chutvadyam panayama. Mighty man, no more birth in this world. Go back to God if we understand Krishna. Understanding Krishna means not just theoretically understanding different things about Krishna, but it means actually understanding Krishna and where we relate with Krishna. Understanding Krishna means that we're supposed to be completely engaged in his service. Although it's not a complete understanding. So, fully engaged in devotional service. Mamchiyo vyabhicharina. Sobhunam. Those who are fully engaged in devotional service, if do not fall down in any circumstance, what do? Transcend the modes of material nature and come to the spiritual platform, right? Come to the Brahman platform, spiritual platform. They're not dying, they're living. This is real life. Spiritual life, not this karmic sojourn. How? Because ordinary man, his duration of life, span of life is being taken away by the sun. You don't have to worry about that in England, do you? Does the sun rise? You can be eternal while living in the sun never rises. It does sometimes. They said that about the British Empire. There was a time when the sun never set on the British Empire because they had colonies all over the world, from New Zealand to America, everywhere, Africa, India. The sun never set, and they say the sun never rises now. Just a joke. If a man is 50 years old, that means he has to live maybe 80 years, so 50 years duration has already been taken away by the sun. 50 years old means 50 years of time has already been taken away. It will never come back. But what about the devotees? He is also the same. He also, life is being taken away. No, his life is not being taken away. He's going to live. Real life. Superficially we see body of a devotee is taken away. But this is not the real body. Real body is spiritual body. That's what we want, isn't it? You want another material body? Probably most of you will say no. But are we willing to take the oshadi, the medicine? You know, you go to a doctor and you want to be cured, but he might give you some rather heavy medicine. You may or may not want to take it. Generally do, I suppose. But in this particular case, are we willing to take the medicine, this Hari Lila Amrit? Are you willing to take it? Depends. Maybe a little bit. I mean, not too much, you know. We've got other things to do, right? Other important things to talk about. So many important things. My family, my dog, my big toe, ingrowing nail. I've got so many things to talk about. The latest Apple iPhone or something. So many things. Oh, I heard something. Nectar. The latest you'll queue up for a week to get that latest iPhone. So many things to talk about. Isn't it amazing? We heard the other day, we won't repeat those verses in the second canto. No. First canto? That Bible we shall go. Second canto. First canto is this chapter. Famous verses there about the various types of topics which people absorb themselves in. So the point of this whole thing is, this whole Bhagavatam, the whole purpose of our movement is to absorb ourselves in hearing and chanting about Krishna. Prabhupada did want 24 hours kirtan going on, especially in Mayapur and Vrindavan, but it can go on everywhere. Bhagavatam is cycle and so on. No, his life is not being taken away. Superficially. Okay, Prabhupada, we go on. Here's another quote. It's the second canto, 231. They're both second cantos. No, the lecture on the second canto. This is, I think, a quote from the purport. A Manisanam person, Maharaj, like Maharaj Parikshit, must therefore take to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and fully engage himself in the devotional service of hearing and chanting the holy name and pastimes of the Lord, which are all Harikatamrita. This action is especially recommended when one is preparing for death. But we shouldn't think, oh, I'll take that up later on. Oftentimes we do. Did Prahlad Maharaj say that when the schoolmates were saying, oh, Prahlad, come on. We're just boys. We want to play. We can think about that another day when we get older. But right now we want to play. We want to enjoy ourselves. I've got to know. And they didn't even have mobile phones in those days. Now as soon as you wake up, a mobile phone comes on straight away. Look at your new messages and what else, whatever else. Tantalize the imagination at that time of the day. But Prahlad Maharaj said, no. You may think like that, but you may die at any moment. You can't say, wait until that time comes. You can't say when it will come. It will come any moment. You can't. nothing you can do about that, practically. We have to prepare ourselves. Materially, people may try to avoid it, right? By various methodologies. There may stories, funny stories. Well, the Prophet tells them that there in scriptures or writings. One time there was a man, he was an expert sculptor, expert at making statues, expert. So expert you couldn't tell the difference. You go to Madame Tussauds, they make these wax forms. Maybe at a tell, but they're pretty good. But he was even better than that. Nobody could tell whether it was actually the person or not. So he knew that death was coming, the warning was very good. So he quickly made about 20 exact replicas of himself. And he stood there, or sat there, exactly the same pose as all the others. Because when the Yamadusas come, they have, the police, when they come, they have a picture, an ID, and everything of the person they're looking for. So the Yamadusas come with a picture of the guy, Hey, what's happening? They would be worried, there's like 20 of them, They know what to do, But the leader was very clever. He knew what's going on. He said, oh, crap. What a lousy sculptor this guy, whoever made these is really a lousy sculptor. And immediately the real one said, what do you mean I'm a lousy sculptor? Ah, gotcha. Captured him. He was clever. You can't escape death when it comes. Another guy, that's a famous story too. Afghanistan. This king, important guy, had a servant. He sent him down to the market to get the vegetables. Sabji market. And when he was down there, the servant had a shock of his life. He saw this death personified coming towards him. He ran for his life. Terrifying figure in the market. He ran home, scared. The master said, what's wrong with you? Oh, I'm terrified. I'm terrified. I saw death personified. I want to get out of here. I've got to go somewhere else. I can't handle it. He was scared. So, okay. His boss gave him the fastest horse he had. And he jumped. He was in Kabul. He jumped on the horse and rode at full speed to Kandahar, another city. Whew. Oh, thank God I'm out of that place. I've escaped death personified. So the boss thought for the moment, he thought, well, this is weird. What's this, all this stuff about death personified in the market? I'm going to go and see for myself. So the boss went down to the market to see if he could see death personified. He couldn't see him anywhere. Eventually, he saw this strange figure in the corner of the market. He approached. He was death personified. It was true. I'm sorry. Death personified. So then, the boss said to him, why did you scare my servant this morning? Why did you do that? He said, well, actually, I was very surprised to see him in Kabul. Because I have an appointment with him this evening in Kandahar. You can't escape, even if you have the fastest horse in the universe. You'll still be caught in the nooses of Yamaraj. Unless you have him on your side. Yamaraj loves to hear Krishna Katha. But he won't take you by the noose and drag you to Yamaloka. He'll happily hear Krishna Katha and release you from any question of birth and death. We just have to absorb ourselves. Well, time is short. Prabhupada says the Krishna consciousness movement, however, is educating people throughout the whole world and informing them how to conquer death. The greatest service you can do, isn't it? With all of their science and medical advancement and philosophizing and whatever other techniques they apply, they're unable to achieve this objective goal. The Prabhupada said this is what the Hare Krishna movement is doing. It's educating people throughout the world how to conquer death. Pretty great contribution. Harim Vinan Lating Taranti. Who knows where that verse is from? I couldn't find a reference to that. Very Prabhupada quotes it many times, but he never gives a reference. It just says in the Shastras say. It must be there 20, 30 times. It means one cannot conquer death without taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is the ultimate shelter. No one else can protect us. Krishna wants to kill us, no one can save us. He may do it through other means. But ultimately, everything depends on him. And if he wants to save us, no one can kill us. So if we show ourselves, and Prabhupada said, don't try to see Krishna, act in the way Krishna will see you. We absorb ourselves in devotional service. Krishna will deliver us. Even though we have no eligibility, in one sense, we're very small, very weak, a very famous pastime of Garuda, and the sparrow, we're like little sparrows pecking away there. But by the grace of the Almighty, of the Great, we can be delivered. Take shelter of that great shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. They're the only shelter in this material world to protect us from the ocean of birth and death. We'll discuss that a little bit today. I'm going to finish now with a quote on Srila Prabhupada's lecture on this very verse in Los Angeles on January the 5th, 1974. Prabhupada gave a lecture on this very self-verse we're speaking on today a little bit. And this verse, rather this purport contains one of the most famous verses, especially if you are a book distributor. Listen carefully. Prabhupada said, these are the Bhagavat. He's talking about book and person Bhagavat, of course. There is no comparison. There is no literature throughout the universe like the Srimad Bhagavatam. There is no comparison. There is no competition. Every word is for the good of the human society. We heard the other day it was to create a revolution in the lives of the conditioned souls. Somehow or another, every word, Prabhupada says, every word is for the good of human society. Every word, each and every word. Therefore, we stress so much in the book distribution. Somehow or other, if the book goes in one's hand, he will be benefited. At least he will see, oh, they have taken so much price, let me see what is there. If he reads one shlok, his life will be success. If he reads one shlok, one word, this is such a nice thing. Therefore, we are stressing so much. Please, distribute book, distribute book, distribute book. A greater mridanga. We are chanting, playing our mridanga. It is heard within the room a little more. But this mridanga will go home to home, country to country, community to community. This mridanga. Very famous book distribution quote. That was in Prabhupada's lecture on this verse. The only time he lectured on this verse, at least the only recorded one. So it's 8:32, and we have much service to do. And of course this topic is an unlimited topic, preparing ourselves for death. learn to die in one sense, isn't it? As Bhakti Tirthaman said, we have to learn to die before we die. We have to die before you die. Give up that which causes repeated birth and death. Give up our attraction for material sense gratification, our attachments to the sense objects, various kinds, our thoughts that anything but Krishna, anyone but Krishna can protect us and take full shelter of Krishna. So what we're supposed to, well, it's a stage we're supposed to be on, taking shelter of Krishna always, one of the symptoms of surrender. That's a stage that prepares. Any questions, comments?
We may be inspired to read Bhagavatam. Then we find some very, we come across like difficult, huge difficult sections, like a lot of philosophy and very difficult to understand, descriptions of the material universes, and we may think, oh, this isn't nectarian pastimes. So how should we approach that and get through this?
Often you come across them, even you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, probably even more so, nectarian pastimes or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and there are many nectarian pastimes there. But the first, and how many chapters? 7 chapters maybe. Pretty intense philosophy. Pretty intense. And maybe we can't digest it. And even with Krishna book, which is philosophy, but large degree pastimes, and many things we can't digest or we're not ready to digest. We have to be a little bit more healthy. Even medicine, if the patient is not in good health, sometimes operation cannot be given or medicine cannot be given until the health becomes a little stronger to prepare them first. So we're being prepared. So Srila Prabhupada's comment on that was, you read it anyway, and if you don't digest or understand, don't try to rationalize with our imperfect senses and start to try to analyze too much when we're not really on that level of, say, eligibility. Like every subject can be like that. But in general, people don't necessarily delve into higher topics of a particular subject until they reach that level. But in Krishna consciousness, just hearing it is purifying. The other aspect about Krishna Katha is very unique. Even if we don't understand it or fully digest it even, it doesn't make sense, or we just can't rationalize it. Just to hear it from the right source with a submissive heart. We should try to hear it submissively. It purifies our consciousness, and you'll find the next time you read it, it starts to make a little sense. And the next time you read it, it makes more sense. And more, it starts to resonate. It starts to have seeming real relevance to us. So the beginning is a little test, you could say sometimes, of our faith, maybe. A test of our sincerity. But don't be off put. If a child reads something, elevated knowledge on mathematics, it will mean nothing to the child. Absolute meaningless. But it doesn't have any purification either. But here in Krishna Katha does. However, it must be said that there is, say, direction on what we read. When we were reading the other day, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was saying he didn't allow his disciples to read certain literatures, including the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam section dealing with Rasalila, for instance. He didn't. Only selected devotees were supposed to read that. It wasn't open house. relate to it. So on Prabhupada did. He gave us this practically in the very beginning, the 10th canto of the Krishna book. But he has his commentaries there. When the acharyas comment on these subjects, then it makes it more digestible, more, let's say relevant. Like the parrot pecks into the fruit, it becomes more sweeter. But still, you may not be so philosophical. But it still is good to hear these subject matters. It's very good to hear. Although you see Prabhupada's lectures generally are quite simple. Generally. So not so difficult for most people if you stay awake. Not so difficult to digest in most cases. But when we read some sections, as you say, 5th canto Bhagavatam, 3rd canto Bhagavatam, also creation is very, it's quite laborious sometimes. Some parts of the 2nd canto, but especially 3rd canto, first part of 3rd canto particularly. Lord Kapila's teachings were a little bit more, I would say, you can work with it. But, the Guru discussing the Maitreya Muni, sometimes he gets a bit technical. But it's very purifying. Prabhupada used to listen to his spiritual masters. I couldn't understand him sometimes, but I would just hear. And Prabhupada would say that even to his disciples. He would speak in Hindi to his Western, to a Hindi audience, and his Western said, you still don't go away. You still sit and hear, you'll become purified. Become purified. I couldn't understand the word of what Prabhupada was saying. Unless he said Hare Krishna. So I don't really understand that either. The purification of hearing from a pure devotee. These transcendental studies, his medicine. It's like describing with that autumnal rains. Cleanses our consciousness, cleanses our heart. We hear this type. If we hear with submissively, try not to be challenging. That's our false ego, that's our pride. I don't believe this. This is what's the use of all this? Give me the nectar. We're not qualified. We can't really take the nectar without understanding. This is all very essential part of the first step of Sambandha Jnana. Understanding the foundation, you could say, of devotional service. It's a big topic in itself, which I haven't got time. But pure devotees know what they're doing. Bhagavatam. Before Bhagavad Gita. Most people can't understand Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Maybe we think we do, but how much do we apply? How much we really apply to ourselves? How many books you distribute? Millions of Bhagavad Gitas. Prabhupada particularly wrote these books for us. Particularly. You have to hear them and apply them in our lives. Our Krishna is coming to us. Supreme Personality of God. He's coming in His form. Speaks when He appears through His pure devotees. We have to hear Him through the media of the pure devotees of the Lord. Prabhupada's emphasis was to become Krishna conscious. The whole purpose of Prabhupada's preaching is to awaken this desire within us. We want to become Krishna conscious. So this movement's formed the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. That's what we're supposed to be doing. To become conscious of Krishna, whatever it takes. If you can't understand certain sections, it's not. Just try to be Krishna conscious. It's important we should understand Krishna as you can see. Boy, how can we understand everything? We're not all knowing. Krishna reveals it when the time comes. We didn't write the Vedas. They came from Krishna. And we can't possibly understand everything. Even Lord Brahma, Janananda, with his out famous first. Who was that spoken by? Is it Lord Shiva? I may understand. Shukadeva Goswami may understand. I'm not sure if Vyasadeva understands or not. But Srimad Bhagavatam is not easy. Vyasadeva says, not sure if he understands or not. He wrote it. It's just a show, it's not a joke. It's not just reading it, I understand it. It's a revelation. A revelation. To see there's something beyond our ability to comprehend is good. It should be there, but what can we comprehend? We're hearing Prabhupada speaking this morning on Dehi no Sminyata Dehi Kumaram Yoganandra. People can't even understand this. Even that's bewildering. Even to us maybe, you know. You say, I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, but we act on the body platform much of the time. Forget. We get afraid when we get old or death is impending towards us. We lament. We hanker. Sometimes. We get mental sometimes. No advanced level of consciousness we're on. But it's a rare thing. Srila Prabhupada and Bhakti Chaitanya have made this very rare, almost inaccessible nectar available. You just have to take it, absorb it, and try to hear more and more. The solution is to hear more, not to hear less. Something bewildering again, disturbed. Okay, put it aside, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And the other way is, the important way is, like if you go to school, if any of you ever went to school or not, if you went to school, you probably had a teacher. They still have teachers in school? They do. They're not an extinct species yet. But then they will come. There won't be any teachers there. Be a robot. Have a robot. If you're still a human, they'll have robots to teach you. So, you have a question, some doubt in your subject matter. What do you do? What do you do? Ask the teacher. Specifics. So in the association, this is how Bhagavatam is realized, in the association of devotees. We hear, as Lord Chaitanya said from the translation, Srimad Bhagavatam, then everything becomes clarified in due course of time. We have to hear in the right way and in the right situation to clear up doubts or misunderstanding, whatever. So the hearing process must also be heard from the right source. When you hear from the right source, things start to become clear. Prabhupada is doing it, but even that we can't see, so be together, they will sit together and churn the nectar, threadbare, go through the purport, discuss it from different angles, try to get a deeper understanding. You read along, sometimes it is like that. What's this all about? You don't realize how relevant it is to us. Hearing in the association of devotees is very important. Siddhanta Sangha is very important. Okay, we're finished there. Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Om Prem Janananda distribution. As we ended on a famous quote of Prabhupada, now we're going to hear a wonderful, let's say, fruits of those words of Srila Prabhupada. We're going to taste those fruits. Who's going to distribute the prasadam this morning? Where is it? No source?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
for the pleasure of the Lordship, Shri Shri Radha Londonisvara, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani, Shri Shri Gauranitai, and for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. Yesterday, we distributed a total of 40 small books. More. 111 medium books, 30 big and Mahabig books, 1 Srimad Bhagavatam set, and 1 CC set. 232 lesson points.
What was the last one you said? One what?
1 Srimad Bhagavatam set and 1 Chaitanya Charitamrita set. Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Transcendental book distribution.
Yeah.
And Harinam, did Harinam go out yesterday?
Yes.
Even though Rupa Nuga wasn't here.
Yes. We went to Narita.
Harinam. Huh?
Yes, yesterday we went to Narita.
Wonderful. Prabhupada says it. Krishna consciousness is giving this deathless nectar to the world in general. So these books are, Prabhupada said, they're going everywhere, all over the world. Every town and village you find Prabhupada's books are already there. You go on Harinam, you can almost rest assured that somebody, many people in that village or town have already got Prabhupada's books. Even in remote parts of the world. Right? One time we were in Kenya. Who's from Kenya? Anyone from Kenya? You're from Kenya? We were on traveling Sankirtan in Kenya in the 70s. We went right up into this village. I can't remember the name of the town. Small town which was a regional capital where we didn't realize it was a mountain state. There was nobody else in the whole thing. We drove up there, it took 7 hours driving up the hill. It looked like a straight road on the map, but then because we didn't have Google, and it was like, wasn't a very good map, but it was like going like this for hours and hours on end, up and down. Eventually we reached it about 4 in the afternoon, and there were about 8 of us, books in the big vehicle. Prasadam, we cooked huge pots of Galia Marogwe. You know Galia Marogwe, the most favorite local dish there in Kenya. Prabhupada said it's fit for horses. No discredit, but it was almost indigestible. The local people, they can't eat samosas and halibut and things. Constitution. So we got there and there was like nothing. There was one building and a bunch of huts around it. One brick building and a bunch of huts. Like next to no one around. Barely a village. Anyway, we come all the way, let's get out and chant for a while. So we got out and chanted. Within about 5 minutes there were thousands of people. They came out of the jungle. It looked like they did. Many of them had swords and spears, dressed up, God, it was quite far out seeing old ladies with their short dresses bouncing around. They usually have big, you know what I mean, bouncing around. They were loving it. It was like real fun for them. Because half of our party were Kenyan, half 4 of us were Western, 4 were Kenyan. And it was great. And then we brought Rudy Kumungu back to Godhead in Swahili with us, maybe 500. So, we just did all those magazines in about 15 minutes. We had one of those that speaks Swahili, told everyone, line up, penny mojo, and he just gave like 1 penny. And somehow they were all looking around for a penny. They did, they all lined up. There's an unending line of people to get their Back to Godhead magazine in Swahili. They all went. Then we distributed all the Prashadam, everything went gone. Lucky there was civilized. Sometimes they'll kill you if there's not enough to eat. You look in the Matari Valley, you know the Matari Valley in Nairobi, maybe you have it, you know. Oh, it's perhaps the biggest ghetto in Africa. Nobody would dare go near it. We got many times, so we go on the edge, we get to run for our lives trying to do super shot. And then, just as we were about to leave, and having distributed everything we could, in speech, kirtan, and what have you, one boy came up to the van, and he said, look in Swahili, he said, my father wants to see you. Not me, speaking to Swahili. And the devotee of Swahili always said to us, he says his father wants to see us. Okay, he's already seen us, hasn't he? But no, he's the village chief. And that can mean different things. He wants to see us. He's the village chief. Now, quite often that means that they saw there were some nice white men, and he has 20 unmarried daughters. Tradition. They want to marry you to marry their daughter. Or it can mean, they want to entertain you for lunch. And that's two ways. You sit down and eat the pig with them, or they sit down and eat you. Risky, very delicate situation we're in here. Oh boy. Anyway, he talked more and tried to find out more about this. He said, I'm sure, we were just brahmacharis, I'm sure Prabhu I don't think there's anything to worry about. I think he's sincere. He just wants to know what we're doing. So we took the risk. We went to see his dad, who was the village chief, and he lived in the only brick building in the area. It was a reasonable sized brick house. We went in, and there was his father, a big African man, sat behind this big desk. Big desk. And they had a few wives, for sure there were ladies coming and going. And he sat there, and he spoke English. He looked at us, and he said, he had a book on his lap. He picked up a book, and he said, is this book your book? Oh no, it is. It's the Bhagavad Gita, I don't have it. He said, is this your book? Now that can mean a few things too. Is this your book? Books we distribute. And he pulled another one out, he had two. He said, I want you to stay here and teach me this book. Said, he could see this is the word of God. He wanted us to stay there. He stayed for some time. Actually, I left Kenya shortly after. I don't know if there was a fall. But he already had those books in the middle of nowhere, in the mountains. He'd already gone there. He wanted to know all about those books. We hadn't done that. He don't know where those books are going. So powerful. It was a nice experience. And after spending some time with him and discussing, we happily left the village and returned to civilization again. Back to the plains. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Transcendental Book Distribution Key. Prabhupada Key.